Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Most of the ceremony today will be in silence, but with a few words. We begin with what you're seeing. Dear old soul, this is not the first time that you've had your feet washed. It's symbolic. It is an honoring, in this particular case, an honoring of spirit to you. The beauty of God, insurmountable, unbelievable, unknowable, is represented here saying, this is how we feel about you. For you are doing the work. Set aside all of the confusion, all the anxiety, all the fear. For just a moment. And let your feet be washed. I want you to feel that which you can feel, which is the honor and the love, the symbolism of what is taking place. Those of you who are not on stage, I wish you to look at the 8. There's a lot to see here. I want you to see past the humanism. Looking at all that has been presented in these days, what do you see? We're going to talk more about that in just a moment. But the ones seated, really truly, are the ones washing the feet of those who are on stage. And that is the symbology of this. Not only do you have that which is angelic, and representing the great central source, washing the feet of the human being, but also those who are seated doing the same. This is an honor session. It's a love session. And the 8, in many systems on the planet, the energy assigned around the 8 is abundance. And so therefore we are looking at that which is abundant here. Compassion, coherence, heartfelt love, understanding, appreciation, feelings that go beyond humanism into a realm that is so pure that nothing else matters right now except this moment. That you can remember for a lifetime, if you wish, the time where you sat and had your feet washed by the great Creator himself. In a group of old souls like this, there are so many life paths, so many personalities, and some of you are shy. There are those who want a stage experience to be as short as possible. Get on, get off. I'm going to ask you to suspend that just for a little while. Relax into all that is here just for a moment. And allow yourself to be honored. Typically, one of the last things that an old soul likes is attention. They want to give and not receive. They don't really want to be noticed that much. They'd like to be in the corner and just dole out the light. but for just a few moments. Just a few moments. It won't hurt anything to relax into the moment. Just be. Allow it to proceed and progress, and just be. Without overthinking it, without being nervous. There's so many different layers of old souls here. There are those that are out in the open and serving, and there are the ones that have been in the closet. And all of it is so honored because you carry the light in your own way, displaying it when you wish to in your own way. Free choice is so honored. But for just a moment, when you arrive in the chair, just relax into yourself, into the room, into the love, and just be. Shut your eyes if you wish to, and feel what is here for you. It's not about the personality you carry with you. It's a moment in time that is precious for you. No one really is watching. And feel all of this in your heart. And know where it comes from. When you and the group look upon these 8, in all that you can do, in all the love that you can create and honor, you still see 8. 8 human beings with unique faces on this planet and unique souls. But that's not what we see. We see thousands with 8 souls. We see the warrior. We see the sea captain. We see the priests and nuns and shamans. We see the mothers and the fathers. We see those who only lasted a year and then came back. We've seen these that take turns being each other's mothers and fathers. We see the family at its best. The profundity of this cannot be minimized. The work that you've done on this planet is astonishing. The imprint that you leave every single time never goes away. Gaia, as your partner, carries that imprint in so many ways. That which is in the cave of creation and that which is in the crystalline grid, all about humans. The trees themselves issue the oxygen you breathe. Your partner, which is Gaia, carries with it remembrances, enhancements of all that you are. The system is beautiful, and it's all for you. But you give so much, and in that there are continued frustrations, difficult things to understand, life's issues, and even in the light, and even in this, the new energy, there's work. It seems to never stop. But right now, it has. Right now, all we wish you to do is honor one another just for a moment on this planet. And perhaps you can see what we see. As these 8 are being honored, let me again tell you about the sweetness and the beauty of a truth that is never ending. And the truth has to do with how human beings find God. And we will say it over and over. Blessed is the human being who finds God in whatever way they can or will, or however it fills their heart and blesses them and makes them complete. For there is no right or wrong. There is no wrong or right in the way you love God. Human being, therefore, do not judge another who has found the beauty of God for themselves in their own way, on their path, in their uniqueness. Instead, stop for a moment and celebrate all. Stop for a moment and see God in them and the beauty and the happiness that you would have as well. Throw doctrines aside, for they are made by men. But the love of God is the love of God, and it is permanently there in almost all spiritual systems. As you sit here claiming to have no system, it doesn't matter for those who do or do not. For the creative source is the creative source, and it is one. The oneness of God is what you are and what you celebrate and who is honoring you now. Look upon others as you would look upon yourself, unique, honored, worthy to love God in your own way. As these next 8 are being honored, I'd like to take you on a journey. In order for you to understand this, even marginally, imagine that you are on this planet as a shut-in. That is to say, you can't get out of your room. People bring you meals, you find ways of existing, you read books, and your entire life you are in the room. And those look at you say, it's such a shame that you cannot go out and see the beauty of nature and all that is there in the forest, and then to be able to start traveling around the planet and see the majesty that Gaia has. Unbelievable sunsets, mountains, waterfalls, touching the animals, seeing how the systems work, looking at the moon, stars at night, the green grass and ocean, the waves. And you say, it's too bad, it's so sad that the shut-in never, ever gets to see that. And then the wonders of the different cultures and how they work. What God has created. And you say, it's too bad. And now I want to tell you something. All of you are shut-ins. If I could take you beyond the planet, even in 3D, somehow you are protected and we will fly from this planet. And then I would give you second sight, how we see. And you'd start seeing the miracles in your nearby galaxy. Unbelievable colors, light, energies, fields, how they mix together, the grandness of the size of things. All of these things made by the same Creator that is inside you. And then I would turn to you and say, I give you the gift of seeing light in so many different frequencies, and you do. The sky would come alive, and you would see waving motion everywhere as you would see life literally in light. You'd start seeing systems that are there that physicists only dream they knew about. You'd see different kinds of physics than you ever thought there was. Enormous energies that are there that you'll never see or find out on the planet. then you'll discover others like you. You will see the beauty of the cultures that were only dreamed of. Others like you. You'll see souls and consciousnesses. And that's just in your galaxy. One of trillions of galaxies, much like yours, some different. This is the beauty that you'll never see while you're on the planet. But dear ones, you've seen it before, and you'll see it again. For you are eternal, and before the earth was ever here, or the galaxy was formed, you were seeing things in this multiverse of energies. The Creator inside is who you are. Don't feel sorry you won't see it, because, dear ones, that's your home. And now for these 8 who are being honored. We want to do the opposite of what we did when we asked you to gaze into the Akash, if you could. Now we wish you to look at the potential. There's only 8. But dear ones, looking at what is in the future, there are far more. This shift is about humanity that has the potential of staying millions of years and slowly graduating into a higher consciousness, slowly. A higher consciousness that will eliminate war and will start into areas you cannot even believe or conceive of very comfortable living. When you have the inventions that will clean your water, give you the energy, and grow the crops. Systems that would never destroy or compromise the planet or even animals in any way. A symbiotic relationship that you were designed for comes with high consciousness. And the 8 that you see, just like the ones that are watching or even listening, are part of that system. You come and you go, and each time you have a graduation of light that is different than before. Your very presence, old soul, on the planet over and over, with others who are coming online, start to then create a greater light. And the metaphor of light is higher consciousness thinking, where things will not happen as they've happened before, where human nature will start shifting and changing. Dear ones, in this scenario, there is nothing that will then destroy this planet in the process of you changing that which is the vibration of the galaxy because of what you're doing here. You will be protected completely. The water cycle will come and go, just like it always has. And you will know when it will and be ready. There will not be a termination of humanity unless you do it. But dear ones, at this moment there is so much light coming that the potentials are so high that even with free choice, you are battling your way right up to that beautiful light of high consciousness for this planet. And understanding a coherence between humans who will still have their cultures and still have their belief systems, but will unify with compassion. And dear ones, as this next 8 have their feet washed, and you gaze into the eyes, each of them with you, let's continue some teaching. You see 8 souls before you. Not really. In order for things to make sense for you and to fall into a system that is comfortable, it's presented to you as you live in 3 dimensions. There are so many dimensions in reality that you do not see or you're unaware of and that are around you. Angelic properties are part of all dimensions, and they are confusing to you. What if I told you that your very soul is angelic, and that therefore you cannot assign yourself to one soul? This is complex. It is part of the new teaching in a new energy that is graduate teaching that goes beyond anything you were taught in an older energy. And you must get through the confusion and the aha that you will have. Consider for a moment that your soul is in many places, even if it's one. Part of it is here in the human body. Another part is on the other side of the veil with the creative source. And then we told you something startling. That part of you stays on this planet with your children, with your loved ones, with other biology, to help them through life, to give them support so they won't miss you so much. And that those you've loved and lost, part of them is with you. Let me ask you this, is that part of their soul? And the answer is yes. How many parts of their soul are there? And the answer is yes. It's so big. You are so big. What if I told you that some of you were still on other planets helping those you've left there? Your soul is so big. It's not just you walking around looking in the mirror with you. And as this starts to occur to you, you will put away the puzzles of the system that you don't understand, and it won't frustrate you. You cannot look at these things in black and white anymore. You have to say, well, I understand only a portion of it, but that's okay because I know it's simply the tip of the iceberg of the knowledge that is spiritual. I'm all right with it. Do not then object because it goes against what you were taught. Instead, open it up to include what you were taught expanded into something far, far greater. You are part of the creative source. God is everywhere all at once. So what do you think is really your soul? Your soul extends perhaps all the way through this room and pieces and parts of humanity itself. It allows you to have coherence in love with not only other human beings, but the trees and the animals, and they feel it and they know it. Let science show you someday what happens in experiments when a human hugs a tree every day and there's another tree next to it that never gets hugged. And when you find out the tree that gets the hug flourishes way beyond the one that doesn't get hugged, you'll know something that science will show you and prove to you, and that humans and Gaia are related. What if Gaia had a soul? And how would that then interface with the creative soul which you are part of? Don't try to figure it out. Instead, accept it as part of that love scenario, which is just getting bigger on this planet. And so this next group takes their seats, and the foot washing continues. Do you feel the energy in this room and the coherence that is here? Can you feel the oneness of spirit? Let us use these times while the honoring continues and the foot washing is there to enhance the teachings that we have given you, even this weekend or in the past. Dear ones, there is oneness here. Perhaps in this modality of compassion and love, there will be understanding that is not there otherwise. We invite you not to spin in the things that you don't understand. There is a tendency for you have to paste it upon yourself, a system of knowledge, perhaps, of the way things work. And suddenly we come along and tell you there's more. And then there is the resistance of one against the other. And then you start asking, yes, but what about this or what about that? I'm confused, Kryon. And I will say to you, dear one, get above the confusion. What is the prime directive of the old soul? And here it is. Learn to love, to be compassionate, to have light and balance. Now, in that prime directive, tell me, where is it that you must understand how everything works? We've said it before. So many of you, if not all, get into a very complex vehicle and you drive from one place to another. And we've asked this question: do you then get the manual out to find out how the internal combustion engine works before you drive? Are you confused about the automatic transmission before you use it? Or do you simply accept the fact that it's all internal, designed beautifully and works for you and takes you where you want to go? There are still those intellectual spiritualists who wish to solve the problems of how things work under the hood before they can drive. And the instructions are these: prime directive, concentrate, coherence, love, compassion, light, balance. That's the prime directive. And if you don't understand some of the things around them, say to Spirit, I do not understand these things. Give me peace over the not understanding. And let me go from one place to another with light, compassion, and love. Do not spin into that which is not clear to you about God. Because, dear ones, you will be unclear all your life. There is no understanding of some things that are beyond understanding. Light, love, compassion, those are very understood. And the next group arrives. Dear ones, this is about the best thing we can ask, what you're doing. The teachings of the weekend have told you that God does not have human attributes, and that the very concepts and words you use to explain God are simply human concepts and words. That the emotions that you have are human emotions, and you do the best you can to then paste them upon God, because that's all you have. Let the teaching then continue. What is it that you could do to be godlike in your own perception of who you think God is, or what it is, or how it works? How can you be godlike? And in the past, you were told to sell everything, live on a desert island perhaps, and meditate all the time. It would bring you closer to God. It would bring the planet perhaps closer to God. And things are changing. And we are saying, do not surround yourself with belief systems and live in a group, because that then isolates you from everyone else. Do not surround yourself necessarily with the rules of God and live in a group, for it then isolates you from everyone else. Let me ask you, does God isolate the energy from anyone? And the answer is no. That God is there for the entire planet. In whatever way they wish, they can find the love and the beauty, no matter what. There is no isolation. What is it you could do, in your opinion, to be more godlike? In the words that you would understand, you think God is. If the prime directive is love and compassion, think of the things that go with it. Think on these things. Number one, perfect understanding. You look at another human being, no matter who they are and what they've done, and you look into their soul with perfect understanding that there's God inside them and they are unique. Forgiveness. God is the great forgiver. And so are you, if you wish. No matter what someone has done to you, against you, to others, against them, can you look at them and say, I forgive you? Kindness. Can the attribute of your life be kindness, no matter what? Can it be that which is the normal for you? Looking around and looking at it in a kind way, a kind heart, instead of a critical heart. Do you know that many old souls are critical? It's a defense. It keeps them isolated instead of the kindness that could pour out of them. These are the attributes, the best ones that you can then assign to yourself as being godlike as you perceive that which is God. Forgiveness, kindness, understanding, and balance. And so the next group has arrived. And the foot washing begins. So much honor in the room. In this enhanced energy, where there is a confluence of coherence, there is greater understanding as I continue to clarify teaching. Let us clarify the channeling of yesterday. Some of you have the confusion when I said to you, drop everything you were taught. I never said forget it. I said drop it. Now listen to this, a metaphor and an example, and I want you to draw your own conclusions. Almost everyone in the room knows about something that is technical. It is what happens when you update a modern computer. And when there is an operating system that must be updated, the computer must be able to do two things. Number one, shut itself off. And two, restart it and reboot. And before it shuts itself off, it contains the old operating system. And then it shuts itself down completely, totally. And then when it reboots, it then picks up that which it had plus the enhancement of the new system. Sometimes the new system may look a lot like the old one, but with enhancements. Did the computer die? And the answer is no, it rebooted. Did the computer have to then shut down in order to reboot? Yes. In that process, it was able then to collect and use all of the enhancements of the old teaching, which were no longer the old teaching. For you, dear ones, you may have learned some profound things from profound teachers. Let me ask you this. Have you looked at some of those teachers today that are still living and gave you those systems? You'd be amazed to find they've changed them. The very things that you've learned by the very teachers that taught you have teachers that now are rethinking and changing what they used to teach. Profound systems are still there, but they're only a piece of a bigger system. You must, therefore, at some level, drop what you were taught for a moment and reboot into that which is an enhancement and an addition to what you thought you knew. It's a beautiful thing, not a puzzling thing. In this explanation of what might be confusing because you want to linearize everything, think higher in all of these things that I teach you. I taught you to drop what you learned for a moment and reboot into that which is an enhancement of everything you learned, not dripping with the old energy or surrounded by processes of the old energy, but there, still in your mind, understood and enhanced as you reboot after having shut down for just a moment while you claim something that is an enhancement of what you had. Now you know. And the next group takes their place. In this process, unlike so many others anywhere, you really get a chance to honor one another in a way that perhaps is unique. Can you spot the soul sharing in the group? For those listening, a set of identicals. There is more here than you think. For when this takes place, there are lessons upon lessons. Deep into them they are, and coming out of them they will. It creates great light and joy for many. Dear ones, so many of you have discovered that which is the joy of spirit. And in the process of the emulation of what you believe God is, there is something that will advance the healing more than anything else and reduce that which is your aging more than anything else. And that is a joyful spirit. When you look upon the masters of this planet and the paintings of them, the artists almost always depict that which is compassionate and joyful. There is laughter, understanding, the creation of fun. That is an attribute of God. If you had to list the things you think God is like from a human perspective using human emotions, yet again, we say one of them is joy. Therefore, as you walk around this planet with compassion and kindness and forgiveness, one of the biggest elements that you could add to that is a joyful spirit. And you see it here with those you look at, with those who have been on the stage, is that they are joyful to be alive, working the puzzle the best they can with a smile on their face. And it's not one that is simulated. It's one that comes from the understanding that God is inside. And day by day, welcome to earth again as a child of God. And the next group is with us. By now, most of you have had a chance to be honored. It's a symbol of something far grander. From human to human, it's an honoring that you are worthy to be here, that you greet each other the same way, that you develop a coherence of oneness between you, and you feel that. From the standpoint of spirit, it is far grander. You're worthy to be here. In the story of the journey home, from which this celebration is based, Michael Thomas had his feet washed by an angel. It's at that point he truly understood everything that was being taught. To have an angel wash your feet is not something that you were taught. But this is the way of it. That the love of God is this way. One of the things perhaps you've learned that would be an attribute would be humility. In its own form, God humbles before you to say, you are a piece of me and always will be. There are so many things hiding here. Well, the ones sitting in front of you, can you look at them and tell, in past lives, which is the one that had 14 children? Let me tell you, he's recovering today. So much of what has been experienced in the past lives is beautiful. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't require that you've had drama and death. There is so much beauty in your Akash. So much fun, so much humor. I want you to remember that as you examine who you've been and what starts to come forward from the Akash in the new energy. Perhaps some of the attributes that you'd had before, which are so grand and so beautiful, will start to come upon you now because you've earned them and deserved them. And this group takes its place. You'll notice the group has 6. By design. Dear ones, the 6 is a magnificent number. Energy of the 6 has been talked about in many systems of numbers. But in the ancient Tibetan system, the 6 represents harmony and humans at the highest level. It is interesting that this 6 in certain systems has been taken to mean evil and the demise of humanity. And there, my friends, is the yin and yang of it all, the polarity of the dark and the light. I will tell you something, and I've said it again, now and before. I'll say it again, is that in these times of shift between dark and light, there are those who do not want you to become masters. There are systems who would rather not have you have all of that knowledge, all of that magnificence. But they cannot keep it from happening. And they will also change when they start to see that which is light working on the planet. 6 is the magnificence of humanity. The potential is what we see and we always have. The magnificence of what we speak of is the potential that can happen not only on the planet, but in each life. As you start to relax within yourself and see who you are, and the things around you are only those which are temporary and do not reflect you. You can get above all the drama, all the fear, all of the old things that you fight as you walk upon this planet. Let this 6 and the final 6 remind you of what it is that is possible with humanity. Humans at their best, harmonizing in ways they never could before because they have different human nature. A human nature that does not quarrel incessantly, which then leads to action of war. Instead, which sees differences and understands them, harmonizes with them in ways that say it's okay to be who you are and who I am, and to understand the one God is what we have in common. And the kindness between us will then survive. That is mastery. And the final group has 6. 2 of them are on their knees. You see this? You're all included. In the process of the examples today, I took you on a ride into the galaxy, dear ones. You're still there. I never brought you back. And in the process of seeing light beyond light and the quantum things and multidimensional attributes, I didn't tell you about the song that is always playing. To call it music is all you know. There is a consistent melody that is a heart melody that seems to play within your soul when you're not here constantly. To call it music is an error. It is not. It is beyond anything. It is melodies of light that you can hear in certain ways and see in certain ways that permeate your body, your light body. And in that you'll hear your name All the names of all the souls are in the song. It's the first song that you hear when you transition. It's that which comforts you during transition, even the 3 days where you go from here to there. You start hearing the music. It soothes the transition, and you remember, and you remember. All is well. I take you back now to the planet, into that little place of isolation called Earth. But hopefully you've been exposed enough to the teachings, the truth, the compassion, where you're going to carry some of that light here from what you might have seen in the example, in the vision. And you'll know that you are indeed grand, and that the foot washing that you've had today has been appropriate for who you are. And so it is.